Good evening and welcome to the Stonzek Theater of the Lake Worth Playhouse. The restrooms are off this hallway beyond the exit sign. There are 3. We ask that you please, in the name of courtesy, turn off your cell phones and refrain from texting. You all know why you're here, so here's Sharon. I'll just turn down my...
Okay. Tonight is a very special night. I did not expect such a large turnout, and in this weather, I really appreciate it. I am Sharon Koskoff. I live in Delray Beach 28 years. I am president of the Art Deco Society of the Palm Beaches, and my dad is not doing well with congestive heart failure in the hospital. I've been there every minute for 3 weeks, and tomorrow's his 89th birthday. How old are you today? You don't have to tell. His birthday is today. All right. A lot of people in the house. A lot of people in the house tonight. People have traveled from as far as Port St. Lucie. Anyway, 2 weeks ago, it was, am I going to do this lecture or not? And I really wanted to cancel, and my close friend said, no, you need to do this. This is what was planned. Go for it. And then the next 2 weeks, it's impossible to put this lecture together. But I did do that, and I put it together in a very personal way. I had 2 choices. First choice was the way this book is written. This is by Alejandro Alonso, and this is Habana Deco, which I had before I went to Cuba. Now I go to Cuba and look at the book, I'm like, oh yeah, I was there, the whole book. And this book is architecture, ironwork, terrazzo floor by category. And I really thought I would like to do a lecture by category. So if any of you come to the Armory Art Center in season when I give a lecture, you won't see this, because I'll probably do it by category. But I'm feeling very personal and emotional. So what I'm going to be doing is showing you pictures of the week in order as the trip progressed. So you will see the lunch and the dinner and all the good stuff. I am an author. I wrote Art Deco of the Palm Beaches. It's $20 if you want to buy it after the presentation. I'll sign it. For those of you who don't have it already, you can also get it in the Cultural Council building, 601 Lake, if you choose to get it another time. And the Stonzek Theater is very close to my heart. And when I wanted to give my lecture, I just returned from Cuba in March. And, I could have gone to the library, or I work at Old School Square, or, the Armory is the season. And I said, well, where am I going to give this lecture? I wanted to be an Art Deco building. I wanted a place close to my heart. And of course, it was the Lake Worth Playhouse. I designed the blue neon marquee. I give walking tours through this building, and that's another story. But how many people have never been here before? Just check. Hands up, Charlie wants to see. Come on, up. Look at that. All these new people. This is a fabulous place. They show foreign films. There's a free brochure out there, a guide. Get on their list. Unbelievable place. Okay, so with that, we're going to lower the lights. I took 3,500 pictures. I bought a new camera to shoot. The camera sucked. So now it's in water out of focus. And that hurts. So I will not delete them. I return the camera. I will not delete them because they're important to me, but I will not be showing, hopefully, too many folks. Okay. You know what I need? One thing, please. You know what? I need my laser pointer, but it's in the car, so we won't do it. Yes?
How's the ambient temperature?
Hot. Make it cooler.
That's right.
I won't have my pointer with me, but I always give a lecture with a pointer, so you have to forgive me. This morning I forgot my pocket. Okay. Any questions so far? No? Okay. See, the way you get out, the way you hide your emotions is through smiling. I've been doing a lot of smiling. All right. Let's see. March 14th to the 12th. Art Deco Congress is every 2 years. It's an international. International Coalition of Art Deco Societies. This was the 12th Congress. Every 2 years, it's an exciting city like Australia or Africa, or 2 years ago it was Brazil. I do not travel a lot, but when it was in Cuba, you know, I had to go. So let's see. This was our itinerary, which obviously you cannot read, but helped me make this lecture. Aha! All right, here we are in Miami Airport. I had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the night before I was the guest artist at a big fundraiser, so I didn't get home till 12. I had to drive by myself, and all we did was wait online, and this picture is significant because that's all you do in Cuba, is wait online. There we are with our speaker, Robin Hill. He'll probably be speaking at the Armory in January on the Frank Lloyd Wright College in Florida, which is Art Deco, and Eric Nash, another author. It was cold in March. And there's the famous pink luggage. I arrived, here we have Gio Dorda. He was in charge of the whole trip, and Dave DePino was here. I think come on down, we're just getting started this second. Okay, what do? My parents are sick, they both have Alzheimer's, I need a phone. You can't get a phone. No phones in Cuba. No internet in Cuba. I researched the whole month in advance. I got an unlocked phone, blah, 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 blah. I run a half a block, a whole block to Cuba cell. And for $60, I buy 30 minutes. So I could hear my mother's voice for a minute a day. And the next day she'd say, oh, where are you? Oh, I didn't know you could call me from Cuba. I've been calling you every day. Okay, here's the bus, gorgeous buses. And as soon as you're in the airport, the first thing you see, what's up with that car? But these posters of Che Guevara are everywhere. Revolucion, you know, all this propaganda. And then you see, we're still in the parking lot with the bus, and there's the Canadian flag. Cubans love Canadians. They love their money, they're tourists. Huge, all Cuba has now is tourism. And when a Canadian transfers their money, they get 10% cut. Americans, they took 13%. Okay, so we're in the bus, and all you see are other tour buses everywhere, or maybe someone on a bicycle, and you start seeing architecture. You don't know where to look. You're looking everywhere. Now, this is not Art Deco, but don't think that it is. You'll know when it's Art Deco. But everywhere you're looking, there's buildings and hospitals and old cars. Every car there is 1950s American, because when the embargo started, that's it. No technology. There was no Burger King. There was no McDonald's. There's no Coca-Cola. There's nothing American. Here we see an Art Deco building. And we're driving in a bus, and we're looking to the left, looking to the right. Art Nouveau. When do you see an Art Nouveau building if you're not in Europe? We talk about that all the time when we talk about what is Art Deco, what is Art Nouveau. This is the feminine, flowery, swirly Art Nouveau buildings. Oh my God. Okay. This is a typical kind of patio, but we'll see the 1, 2, 3s that we know as Art Deco. We see the flat roof. We see the eyebrows. We see the streamlined curves. We all, hopefully, here know what Art Deco is, or you'll have a sheet, which I gave out to you, or you'll learn about as we go. This is called the neoclassical style, or the Beaux-Arts. Very ornate, a lot of ornamentation, busy, you know, Baroque, very, very heavy kind of architecture. But let's look here. What's with that yellow right there? I have a whole presentation on partially painted buildings. Like this will be, you know, here's a little blue, there will be a little yellow. There's no Home Depot to go buy paint. Right? Okay. Here's a piece of blue, there's a piece of purple. Textures everywhere. You know, if you're a photographer or an artist, texture, oh my God, you don't even want to see shiny new. Again, with the old cars. Textures. This is Superstorm Sandy meets the Haiti earthquake. I mean, it's weird. And then Art Deco. Everywhere you look, there's Art Deco. And broken windows. And we wonder, why don't they fix the broken windows? What do they do when it rains? They just look like that. Oh, those windows broke 15 years ago. Nobody fixes anything. Art Deco, modern, 1, 2, 3, bandings, vertical. People walking all the time, everywhere. Taxis. There's no ownership. This is a communist country. So all you're going to see Because in the window, you're shooting everywhere, you're looking everywhere, you don't know where to look first. People everywhere. Cars, they're all stalled, they run on coffee filter parts, because there's no parts for these cars. They look good on the outside, they probably don't have a lot of accidents because there's not a lot of traffic. And we pass the Capitol building, government buildings, and you see what the must have been very ornate at one time, this Baroque kind of look. Very kind of modern street signs, very, very nice. Very ornate, very the opposite of Art Deco. Art Deco is, simple and very heavy stuff. Here's some Art Deco. And we'll always see wires. Okay, so we get there and there's lunch. This is Old Havana. And here it is, the Old Havana is the pedestrian area. It's all dug up. People are trying to repair something. We go to a restaurant for lunch. Now we don't know, but it turns out everything is going to be VIP. Go inside this magnificent place, which was right where that construction was, and we have a lovely lunch. And we get back to our hotel. I'm tired now. And the hotel is on the beach. And we're all used to the Intracoastal and the beach, so water isn't like anything new to us. We live in Florida. But you can see the fort because Cuba was always at war and always, trying to protect itself. So you'll see cannons and forts. And this is where our hotel was. I did not take any pictures of the hotel. I was tired. Anyway, at night is the first cocktail party. And here we see our logo of the 12th Annual Congress. It's kind of a Mercury mythological creature running Art Deco in the 12. And this is the hotel, and inside they're speaking and giving out hors d'oeuvres that I can't eat because I'm gluten-free. And this lovely woman was about 6'8", and then wore high heels. And before we went to Cuba, they made a video, like a 1-minute commercial video, like "Come to Cuba, Art Deco Congress." And she's she's walking along the avenue, and we all thought she was a transvestite, or we swore she was. But she wasn't. She was just this gorgeous 7-foot model. And her and her crew were at all the dinners and lunch, all different costumes. Okay, next morning, we're taken to an Art Deco house. Now, there's 250 of us in 4 buses, and it's almost impossible to get a photograph without people in them. And we're all trying to shoot the same photo. Where we are, we're visiting Director Alfredo Guevara. This is the Film Festival movie house, the Vintage Film Poster Exhibition. Back here you see one of our Art Deco people. She wore a different dress every day. A lot of people get really dressed up Art Deco. Here in Florida, we're more preservation oriented than let's have a jazz party. But look at this, here we all are, the gathering in the morning, filled with these gorgeous movie posters, the Carmen Mirandas and all that. And we're all wearing cameras and we're all after the same photo. She's taking a photo. We're going to see a lot of stairwells and ceilings and bathrooms. The biggest issue in Cuba is there's no toilet paper and no toilet seats. And they don't flush. Really, what you do, there's a seat here. Let's see here. No? Okay. They don't flush, and usually there'll be a matron in there, and she goes and gets a bucket. She follows you behind you, flushes, and you take the paper and you kind of throw it in a basket. And I can't imagine anything more sad or demeaning or scary. I have another seat here, too. There's 2 seats here. Dave, right here, 2 seats. Come on down. Anyway, so as you see, there's no toilet seat, but it's lovely and white, and we still have the film festival place. And it's my first, kind of bathroom other than the hotel. Here we go on the stairwell. And here's a big, oh, look, everybody ran to the bus. I was alone without any people. Okay, cars, everywhere is cars. I have hundreds and hundreds of pictures of the cars. Okay, so around the corner we go to the Casa La Amistad, house of Catalina Laza and Pedro Barro. The story was she was married to this a dignitary from Cuba, and she had an affair with him. She runs off with him to Paris. They're madly in love. They get married. She gets a Roman divorce. They come back to Cuba, and he builds her this mansion. And then later on, way later on in my slides, when we go to the cemetery, we see her grave. But inside here, all beautiful, and well, it's more than beautiful, ornate, opulent. And here's an author, Mario Coila. He's very famous. I looked up an article from the Sun Sentinel from 2009, and he was quoted in there, if you look under Art Deco Cuba. And the French Lalique, which her mausoleum is also with the Lalique. This is very, very expensive. Nothing was too good for her. She was the finest stuff. And all this glass and, you know, geometry. Art Deco is everything geometric. Okay, and the dining room furniture and the floors. And there's just hundreds of pictures. Then we go to the Museum of Arts, Decorative Arts for lunch. This is an art and architectural cultural exchange. That's how you get to go to Cuba legally. Copper Bridge, the company, gets us the visa and the license and all the paperwork, but it was a cultural exchange. And here we are, and again, Grand Palace on the inside. They have an Art Deco exhibit, fashion, just amazing. I sat with the woman who did those fashion things for dinner that night. She designed all of the a Showtime or Homebox Latina soap opera. She works on her computer and designs the fashions. Lunch at the museum, kind of like having lunch at the Norton, you might think. But here you have this performance arts of women climbing the buildings, like a modern art dance. Every lunch and dinner was accompanied by performance art. And here was our first treat. Okay, so I walked back to the bus. Our bus was a little further away. What do I discover? I'm Jewish, and here we have a Jewish temple. It was a Holocaust celebration, and I made a donation, and we took pictures, and it was quite lovely inside, and you see the Jewish star. Okay, wow. This day we have a lecture series in this Art Deco building. This is right off the water at Casa de las Americas. Here you'll see the Americas, the North and South America, and the Art Deco building. And here's the buses, our buses. And right next to it looks like a ship, right? There's more Art Deco. The streamline, the ship-like building. And right across from that was that big kind of 50s arch, some kind of stadium. At night we're having dinner at Club Havana. And here we have Robin Grove from Australia. Now this is Gustavo Lopez. He was the Cuban contact. They're not allowed to have like an Art Deco society in Cuba. So works for the government in preservation. And this woman works with him, and this is again Gio, the person who put together the whole trip. He put together the Brazil trip 2 years ago. And he's been running these tours to Cuba for a while. The politics is 8 years ago when I was in New York for the Art Deco conference, and we were voting on, in 2 years or 6 or 8, do we go to Cuba? I voted against Cuba, the boys from Miami, the Miami Design Preservation League, Boston, we voted against Cuba. George Bush was president, and it was not a good time to be leaving the country and going to Cuba. It's still illegal to go to Cuba. Again, it's opening up now with Obama, but so when we voted against it, it created a split, like Republicans and Democrats in Art Deco societies, and it became a real mess. You have no idea. Probably one of the reasons I did not speak at the conference, because I was supposed to speak, and it all worked out, and it was wonderful that I went. But here they're having some awards. Enough politics, right? It's always politics. Here's the woman who designed all the furniture, and he became great friends with me. That's Javier from Costa Rica. I encouraged him to start an Art Deco society. There's a lot of people there that, of course, we're all not presidents of Art Deco societies, that they have interests. And you encourage someone, like Barbara Bayer Capitman, Queen of Art Deco in Miami, had me start the Art Deco. You tell them how to do it, what to do, and you encourage them, and you beat on them till they do it. Oh, there's the models. See, there's the models back there at dinner. Here's the hotel. Finally, I get a picture of the hotel. The hotel had toilet seats, toilet paper, a bathtub, which I took every night because I was tired. So I kind of went to them, you know, to hear your peers speak, and it's exciting, but you know, you want to be out there, you want to take pictures. So you see, we're right on the water, and this is an eclectic where it has Art Deco elements, and it has so it looks like the Breakers though. And we're missing the name, I think is in the next one, the architects, but it's 1930. Here we go. Hotel Nacional at night, McKim, Mead, and White. They're from New York. These were New York architects. Art Deco Moorish, which we know that the Letchworth Playhouse, before it was torn down, was Moorish Deco. When it was built in 1925, our oldest building on the Art Deco registry, and then September 16, 1928, when the hurricane tore it down, we have the more streamlined version. Your City Hall across the street, Moorish. You know, they say it's Mediterranean revival, but when did you ever see a mosque in Mediterranean revival? Getting back to Cuba. This picture I took at night. And now I walk around the hotel at night. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, not so many people out, thank God. And now I can get a picture of the lobby, which is, you know, more Spanish and beautiful, quite charming. And my elevator, my elevator was right here, and had a very convenient room, and the restaurant was right there. And I was very convenient. But look at the terrazzo floor, and just lovely. Here it is at night. This is facing the beach. So this is the outside patio. Drinks, mojitos with every meal, and when you bought them before on your own, it would be $5. So people were drinking before dinner, but every lunch and every dinner, they gave us 3 drinks. So it could be 2 mojitos and a wine, or a lot of drinking. But here I am at night, and I run into this group. Like, okay, it's like, okay, I'll take a picture of you if you take a picture of me. Oh, what are you doing here, Miss Sharon? Oh, well, I'm president of the Art Deco Society, and we're here for architecture. Oh, mi padre is architect. His father, he's a doctor. This is Dr. Ernesto, and his father's an architect. And there's something called a Paladeras, and we had 2 free nights on our own to have dinner, Saturday and Sunday. And a Paladeras is, they're now allowing, the last 3 months, private homes make a restaurant, and you can earn a little money. And I saw this on, did you watch the WLRN public radio? It's called Cuba Secrets Part 1 and 2. There's a 2-hour special on 2, 6, or 18, whatever, the public channels. And they had a man lowering down a basket from his house, and you put your order in, and then he puts the pizza, and you put the money. And so I knew like something about this, which I did see one time in the bus, they were lowering that. But what happens in these paladeras, like the restaurant that we had lunch the first day, how could there be a restaurant if you're not allowed to own anything, right? So what it is in that old Havana area, they're allowing restaurants, and the money they make builds the infrastructure in the courtyard. There's no taxes. So there's no developers. So if the road needs paved, who pays it? Right? Here we raise taxes, you pay your share, and then they come and they pave the road. So they're really hurting because there's no money. And once it opens up, all the money will flood in, and they'll build, and they'll tear everything down, and this is the problem. Anyway, so I said, which paladera should I go to? They gave us a choice. So he says, oh, no, you come to my house for dinner. Sunday. Okay, Sunday. So this is Friday night. Okay. So this is Ernesto, and that's his brother. This is a friend and his wife, and this is the cab driver. Which is probably a friend of the family. Carlos. Okay. Right across, right, so now we're in the morning. That was 2 o'clock in the morning now. I wake up in the morning, I don't want to go hear lectures, I don't want to hear other people speak, I'm tired, I want to go search it. Plus I had to buy water, you gotta have water. So I went to the market to buy water, and right across from our hotel, there's another Art Deco hotel. Later on I found out one of our friends, Randy Juster, a famous photographer for Art Deco, he never has any money, and he's always crashing somewhere. So he kind of crashed our Congress because he didn't pay, and he stayed at the hotel across the street. He was smart. Anyway, I got pictures of this later, inside. Oh, okay, well that was a little bridge. Can't go back. These are very famous. These kind of little bulbous patios with the diamond shape. And on top is the eyebrow, which is the flat linear plane that we know so well in Art Deco. do that?
Umbrella.
Oh, okay. Oh, I have hundreds of pictures of dogs, and they all had diseases, and they all were sick, and I wouldn't even take the really bad pictures. But they're so cute. And I went to the market and I bought this necklace. There was a market right there. Who knew? She has it in her hand. And look, they copied all the American art. There was like copies of Britos. Oh, here they are. We know Romero Brito from Brazil, but he's on Lincoln Road, and they had copies of Britos. And here was that area at night where I met Ernesto, closer to the water. Here's the terrazzo floor, and of course, the lovely Cuba. There I am on the cannon. And here we are at lunch, got on the bus, and they took us finally to have some Cuban food, because it's a tourist menu. You know, when you're the tourist, they're giving you chicken and not chicken. So here we are at El Ajibe, and of course there's cigars, and everywhere you go, people are smoking. Little kids are smoking, you know, in the restaurant, and you can smoke anywhere, there's no age, no limit. You're just not allowed to bring home any cigars. Okay, now we're taken to a movie theater, an Art Deco movie theater. Here you see they hung the banner for our Congress. And here we are inside. Oh God, this was one of these Mayan. We always say Art Deco is Mayan, Aztec, Japanese, all the geometric arts. This was like out of a Frankenstein, Dracula kind of movie. You know, the Egyptian mummy kind of things, and you know, it's not like they went to the store and bought the reproduction, right? This is the real chair. They're sort of mummy, see all these kind of Mayan, lovely Art Deco elements. And this was a little out of focus for sure. This was towards the stage. And tile work, and they showed us a film. This was the screen of the girl, the tall model. They showed us the 2-minute, you know, video. They showed that a lot, and then they would have the speaker talking about the theater. Very educational. Oh, there she is. There's the video with her in it. And steps going up, murals on the ceiling. And, you know, everybody dresses up, so everyone, you know, they're always stopping for the perfect photo op because they know everyone's going to shoot them. They come with trunks of clothing, this Art Deco Congress, you know, and they pay extra for it, a lot of baggage. Okay, after that, they took us to the American Theater for a dance performance. And this is the building. Huge, beautiful, it's probably an office building, but the ground floor is the Performing Arts Center. And this is the tile work out there. And inside, you know, it's America, so again, with the Americas, and there's all the zodiacs around here, which I'm showing you the Aquarius on January. There's my water bearer. Beautiful. And upstairs, and all the old drawings. This place was amazing. The staircases, and the lamps. It's like a Radio City musical. Stylized women, beautiful, minimal. The ceiling. One side was the men's room, and one side was the ladies' room. Beautiful. And this is Bruce from Sacramento. And I look at Bruce, and he looks at me, and he says, "Want to see ballet? Want to walk with me?" I'm like, let's get out of here. So with that, we're going to see, I divided this up into 3 sections because the file was very big. How are we doing for time right now? Just curious. 8:30. Perfect. I'm right on task. All right, so we're going to close this out. End of show, click to exit. And we're just going to go open the second file. And Cuba 2. And from the beginning. Wow. See what good organization we have? And we decide we ask how long is the performance and when do we have to be back? And you know, everyone speaks Spanish or whatever. They said an hour. I said, okay. There was a, you know, something he saw on the bus and he wanted to get back. So it's like, yeah. So here we go. So we're on foot, and everywhere you look are beautiful Art Deco buildings. Here's Art Nouveau, right? See the lettering, that fancy lettering, like the 70s show on television has that 70s flower power. Art Deco. Just, the sun was in the right spot. And we're in this, you know, very busy commercial area, and we're all these underpasses, and the floors are paved in terrazzo, but they're all cracked. Like you have to like jump over and not fall in the ditch, and you know, really be watch where you're walking. And I took a lot of pictures of broken floors. Anyway, we run back, because we think the bus will leave without us. And it turns out what we found out later, they had one guy talking for like an hour. So when we got there, we saw the entire ballet. We kept thinking, oh, this must be the last 5 minutes of the ballet. And it turned out we only missed 5 minutes. So it was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad we didn't miss it. And I had an adventure. Okay, so now it's Saturday night, and I had a choice of some paladeras. So of course I picked the one called Atelier, which means artist studio. And here we see the name, Atelier, and it's night and it's lit up, right? It's like 9:30, the time they get you for dinner, because you know, the time you get back from the whole day is like 5:36, and then you get dressed and you go back out. So there's paintings, large murals there. This is in someone's home. We stepped down through the living area, and we had dinner on the roof. And it was so beautiful. It was a beautiful moon, and it was just fantastic. Here's the kitchen. Okay, so Sunday morning, it looks like I went walking again, because I got into this walking, you know. You're on a bus, you know, you want to start walking. So this is the hotel that was across from me that Randy just stayed at. So this is inside that interesting double staircase. And here's these tall ceilings, more in the ceiling. A lovely staircase with the Art Nouveau relief. So there's just so much. Got that one? Now we're having lunch at the Sevilla. This is 9 stories high, and we all had to get in an elevator. 250 people. It took us forever till we got in the elevators and we got up to the 9th floor. Of course, while we were waiting for the elevator, there was a band, and I started dancing with them. I bought their CD, you know. I love music and I love to dance. And here's this hallway, and you can see the stories going up. And here we are on the top floor, and all these windows open up to this. Look at the density of this city. There's no parking garages. They couldn't have cars if they wanted.
What's the population?
What?
What's the population?
Oh, a couple of million in Havana. It's very dense. I know, that's a good question. I don't have the answer for that. But anybody can look on their iPhone and find it out in a second. But you can see it's all in decay, and it's sad. So we're all out there taking pictures, and we're all squeezing in because everybody's getting the same pictures. And did you see how very few cars there were on the road? Yeah. In that last shot? Here I am with Mindy. She's Art Deco Los Angeles, and Neil, Art Deco Los Angeles. And they're the ones that were pro-Cuba, and they've been to Cuba 3 times already. And here they are for the World Congress, so they're very proud that, you know, they're here for the Congress. And you know, they worked hard to make all this happen. And here's Joanna, Neil's lovely wife. they came back to Del Rey, and I showed them around all of Del Rey, and we had lunch right here in Lake Worth, as a matter of fact. But there we are. Look at the bottled water. That was con mineral, which is mineral water. And we were treated to flamenco dancers. 50 dances, just through the tables of lunch. Just beautiful. Okay, where are we? Oh, next we took a little walk. We went to see the Bacardi building, but on the way there's a military museum, like an open air military museum of all the firefighting, and it was under construction. And then we see this car, and then we get to the Bacardi building. Doesn't look like much of this view, 1930. Bacardi rum used to be in Cuba. 1961 they left, and it's now just an office building. But this is like their prize Art Deco building. 1, 2, 3 is vertical, stepping down, lighting, the bandings, the vertical chevron in this case, the zigzag, the lightning bolt, whatever you'd like to call it, the B for Bacardi. And here we are inside, everybody's shooting pictures, cameras everywhere, right? People don't know where to look first. Terrazzo floors, the sunburst for Art Deco. This is definitely out of focus. The gate. And here we'll see the lovely Catherine Hausman. She's the president of Art Deco New York. And she wears wild outfits, vintage. And the people will go up to her and say, well, that's not Art Deco. Hey, you're allowed to wear other clothes. And she might wear 50s or something. And they'll come up to her and say, oh, I don't think that's Art Deco. But she must come with crinolines and pocketbooks. And she's such a fashion show. This is the only picture I included, I think, of her. But I have hundreds of her in her different outfits each day. Catherine Hausman, New York. Okay, here we have an elevator and looking outside that wonderful window. The lighting, we're still in the Bacardi building. Details, details. 1, 2, 3. And we're still walking in the street, and as I said, there's people everywhere. And they told you to bring treats, like chocolate or something to give to people. And I had these chocolate mints, and everywhere I saw a baby, and they were wrapped in plastic, oh baby, oh baby. Some people looked at me like I was crazy, but they told you to, most people were very appreciative. But I gave chocolate the whole week to everybody. But apparently everybody's with the cameras, everybody's shooting. Okay, so we're on the bus. They take us to this quadrangle, this big circle. There's a big monolith, and 4 of these buildings, 4 giant buildings, an art school. And there was a sculpture garden and the walls and all that. But you have the 1, 2, 3 and the stepping back of the buildings and the relief. But there's 4 of these. And here's the relief and the rounded corners and more relief. And look how you can see the mold. It needs a nice pressure cleaning, right? There's from the sculpture garden. And here's the monolith, all 4 sizes, different Art Deco relief on there. And at that point, we got back on the bus, and we were going to see the National Ballet. Because the other day was like the cutting edge, the Demetrius Klein Ballet. This was the National Ballet. And then they said, well, if you don't want to go to the National Ballet, you can go to the maternity hospital. So I'm like, well, I love ballet, but I want to go to the maternity hospital. So here we are, this huge, gigantic building with the crowning sculpture on top. And I wrote it here, Ballet Nacional de Cuba, the one I didn't go to that. But I did go dancing at 2 o'clock in the morning there. They had an underground discotheque 2 nights later. I got to the building. Okay, so here we're at the Maternity Dad Hospital, 1942. Inside, now there's actual maternity patients in there. And it wasn't like very clean, the hospital. And it was scary. Because the hospital, it was old. It was beautiful. And there, of course, you see our friend Pictures everywhere. There were a lot of patients looking down at us. And there's a beautiful mural on canvas of this childbirth. And there's a close-up of the famous sculpture. And we get back on the bus, because now we get a different route. Because we didn't go to the ballet, and then they're going to take us to special places now. And this is not Art Deco, but look at this beautiful paint job. See, some of the buildings, you drive by, one building is magnificently painted, one is moldy, one is broken, one has 5 different kinds of paint, you know, one is blue, you know, like, there's no rhyme or reason. It wasn't like this whole block is restored, or this whole section, or this is a good neighborhood. There was no understanding of 1 minute something beautiful and the next minute something, you know. Okay, so it's Sunday night, and, you know, it was Paladier's time. From Friday, I had asked every person I sat next to or had lunch with or had dinner with, do you want to go with me to Dr. Ernesto's house? A real Cuban's house invited us for dinner, and I could bring a guest. Now, one person would go with me. And what did I promise my mother? You're going to Cuba, you're going to Cuba. What? I promised my mother I wouldn't leave the group. Because the first chance I get, I leave the group. Because I said, oh, don't worry, I know everybody. It doesn't matter that I'm traveling alone. You know, I know all the presidents. You know, I'm doing this 28 years. I know everybody. You know, everybody's my friend. But what do? So it's a little scary because all I have is this address. It's in Spanish. He called me in the morning to confirm. I called him. I was on my way. And you know, you go out to the hotel and they get you the taxi. But I left my number where I was going, and I told them I was going. And they get me a cab for $10. One wants a $15. I said, no, that's too much. The next driver came up and $10, take her to this address. And everyone said, oh, this is very far. I asked the bus driver. We had great bus drivers. And I said, where? Do you know where this address is? Oh, that's very far. Everybody, oh, very far. And it was far, but it was only 25 minutes. It wasn't like 2 hours. Okay, so there I am alone. And the funny thing was, we're driving west. The sun sets in the west. And I know that the house is to the west. All of a sudden, the sun's behind me. And I get like, where's he taking me? Why are we going east? We're supposed to go west. A little later when I looked at the map, it made a big S, you know? But you really don't, you know where you're going. And then they are waiting for me outside. This is his father, the architect. And he was married to a woman from France. And she went back to France, and he has a stepmother, Margarita, who we will see. Here's Ernesto, and they're waiting outside for me. So we got a little lost. The driver had to ask where he was going. And the whole street was bombed out and broken up. And here we go. Now, I have 200 pictures of the inside of their house. So it's not Art Deco. It's historic. But, you know, that's why I'm saying I probably won't show this presentation again. You're all really privy to such a personal place. But everything is like 50s in here. It's amazing. All these American stuffed animals. A lot of these came out of focus, which really upset me. Disney characters, Batman, and all the superheroes. And they had TV. Everyone has TV in Cuba. So you can hear Castro give his illustrious speeches. And we sat there, the proposal with Sandra Bullock was on in Spanish, but they see what's going on in the world. They understand. And I sat with Ernesto all night with my iPhone, because I brought the iPhone and the unlocked phone. The iPhone does not work, but you have the apps, you can look at pictures, you can, so I showed him each app and what this does, and he sat there and he's very intelligent, and we talked all night, and my Spanish kicked in, and we communicated. And you can see the desire, they're being left behind. And they're creative and intelligent people, and they're left out, and they see the whole world before them. Kitchen. This is a real radio, not the reproduction in Macy's for $20. This is what they listen to. All the figurines I wish I had that are probably worth $1 million here. Hundreds of them. This outdoor patio. It's hard to explain. And I don't know what all this stuff means. Of course, there's Che. Here's all, I brought them rum. You bring rum when you go. I brought them, Habana Club is the name of the beer. And they have all this beautiful plant life. It's like an indoor-outdoor house. This is the rooftop. We had 2 dogs and they came out blurry, but they have cages for the dogs, and I guess everybody, you use every square inch you have in your house. And they have a very big house, and we look down. That's where we ate. Bedroom. Floor. Here's my toes. Bathroom. They had a toilet seat, but it didn't flush. There's Margarita. There's Mama. She's 63, born in the house. Lives in the house 63 years. And boy, did she cook up a storm for me. Wow. That was Cuban food. And I adore Cuban food. I ate Cuban food on Tuesday and the trip was Thursday. So I was happy. Okay. And of course, it wouldn't be perfect without a perfect cup of coffee. Now, she had a paladienes on the other side of the house. Long, narrow, and they were making pizza. They just started breakfast and pizza. And this is where they have the little restaurant. I got there about 7:30, and I stayed till midnight. There we are, but that was the kitchen. So they take me home, and we call up Carlos, midnight. Oh, Carlos, can you take Sharon back to the hotel? So they all got in the car with me, of course, and accompanied me back, and I paid Carlos. But I had heard a lot of my friends on the bus, whatever, they had found this John Lennon memorial bench in a park. And so I said, here is that John Lennon bench. And of course they knew, and they drove me there. It's pitch black. There are no lights in Cuba at night. Why not? Because there's no power company. If a bulb goes out, there's hardly any, there's just buses driving around at night. And they just don't have a lot of street lights. So you'll see groups of people walking, 2 here, 5 there, 8 there. People walking all night long in the streets, and it's pitch black. And it was in this park, and I sit down, and you can't see because it's pitch black. So we took a whole bunch of pictures of me and of Ernesto, and then they came out great because the flash illuminated. So here's one of them, but it meant a lot to me. I love John Lennon, and it was a peace bench. And then it's midnight, so I don't want to go back to the room. And Joel and David, this is David from Puerto Rico. He's going to be starting an Art Deco Society in Puerto Rico. 21, he's already like the rest of us there. We're all, deco, 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 deco. We're all the Art Deco police. We all sleep, think, eat, drink, Art Deco. And at 21, he has the knowledge. So as a group, ICADS, we are giving him $500 to help him kickstart. Anyway, but they fell in love. The girl from Copper Bridge, you'll see a picture of her later, and they told me they were going to be at La Zorda El Cuervo, around the corner from the hotel. I said, take me to the jazz club. So there they are, smoking and drinking mojitos. And I think now it's time for the next 3rd installment. Are we doing good?